gathered again to give glory unto the Lord, to worship in truth and in spirit. Let us pray. Shall we pray?
Yes.
Shall we pray? We need to stand up. Heavenly Father, we thank you, we honor you. Father, we ask you to come and take this stage. Use us as only your vessel. And when you're through with us, Father, we hand over the glory unto you. For it pleases us to glorify your name. For you alone are God in this house. You alone are God in our lives. We are, Father, because you is. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
We are still on the same topic, worshiping God in truth and in spirit. It's a vast area to be covered. We are only touching it facially. Last week we dealt on when does idolatry comes in through worshiping. Or when we think we are worshiping God without knowing that we are not. When did we open our hearts, build an altar for the enemy instead of building an altar for God? Your heart is the temple of God. The only altar there is supposed to be that of God. But suddenly, we do often build an altar, even though we are believers and Christians. We build an altar for Satan in our heart. And so when we worship then, we are not worshiping in truth. Not that we worship in spirit. Not the spirit of the Almighty Father, but in the spirit of who is the Antichrist. And then we can ask ourselves a question. We are Christians, we are believers out there. Am I saying all this? But it is true. When you do not do the will of the Father, when your heart is not pure, when your worshiping is not according to the gospel of Jesus Christ, the truth is not there, then you have built an altar in your heart. Whatever comes out of that mouth comes from the heart of that altar in your heart. And that altar does not belong to God. It belongs to the enemy of God. Sister Park, could you please read that portion again for us? In Colossians 3:17. Start from 16.
Okay. Colossians 3:16 says, "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. And whatsoever you do in words or deed, do all in the name of the Lord, giving thanks to God and the Father by him."
Amen.
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 From there we learn that how to worship, the meaning of worship, the truth, and which is not. There's something I want to say this morning. When you do not believe in the doctrine of our Lord Jesus Christ, and you are carrying the Bible, teaching, preaching from it, then an idol has been created in your heart. We were saying, when does idolatry begin or begins? We gave so many instances last week to our spouses, when we pay more importance to them, when we honor them, when we obey them instead of obeying the will of God, that we have created an altar. Those things constitute an altar. But this morning, I'm going to take it to another level. When we come to church, when we sing, we praise God, we come to worship Him in spirit and in truth. The choir, they are here to worship God in spirit and in truth. The choir is supposed to lead the congregation, to usher the congregation into the presence of God. It is God that's taking the glory. And when the congregation comes to church, focus on the choir, focus on the star of the choir, the song. They get mesmerized watching how he or she sings. And then when the star or the choir focuses on singing, they take their mind off of God. There's a distortion. The choir is supposed to lead the congregation, usher the congregation into the presence of God. Both the choir and the congregation simultaneously, in one accord, supposed to be worshiping God. If you look at the kind of music, kind of songs, if you take Michael Jackson, he became an idol. People go to watch him when he performs. And when he's performing, the crowd is mesmerized by him. All the adulation goes to him. The crowd is having fun. They're getting entertained. And the reverse should be the case in the house of God. The choir should lead the congregation into the presence of God. It is so important that we know the words of the songs that we're singing. I think the pastor have gone to the extent of giving it out here for us to sing. When you're singing, try to make sense, the meaning of the words. The words will speak to your heart. It's that words that will break down the barriers. It's that words that will break down the walls of your Jericho, that will usher you into the presence of God. But if you do not know these words, if you just murmur them, because you're not following, others are singing, and you're murmuring, humming, then you're not synchronizing, synchronity with the choir. You are off. The words are not making sense to you. If the words don't make any sense, have no meaning to your heart, then you are not worshiping God at that very time. That's an idol. It becomes a distortion unto worship. So when we come, that's another way distortion. An idol can come in when we're worshiping without even knowing. Let's take sacrifice. If you're one cleaning the church, if you have any service you are performing in the house of God, and you're not doing it with a pure heart, and there's a grudge in you when you're doing it, or you're looking at it others are doing or they're not doing, you shouldn't be concerned about any other person. But when you focus on that worship of service, remember, service is a form of worship. It became distorted at that very particular time. You have failed. So you can do all the cleaning and everything. It doesn't please God. it does not honor him, you will not get reward for that. Because it doesn't come from a pure heart. It doesn't come without agitation. You are looking, murmuring, others are not doing it, you're the only one doing it. Worship, true service then, is distorted. When it's a command to pay your tithes and offering, and when that time comes, you grudgingly pay your tithe or give an offering. The worship through tithe and offering, there is distorted. That's an idol worship. You worship in the works of your hand, your money, and you're forgotten who gave them to you. When you are speaking to your tithe and your offering before, you put it in the offering basket. From which heart are you speaking to that offering? The Spirit of God in you? Or you have built an altar of idol in your heart, and that word is not coming from the Spirit of the Father. It's coming from the Spirit, the Antichrist, whom you have built that altar in. Because that sacrifice is not pure. God does not accept sacrifices that doesn't come from you, within your pure heart. So these are so many ways in which worship can become distorted. And when they become distorted, they become an idolater. I'm not here to preach. Let us put our head together and reason together, ask questions, answer questions, knowing that we are all facilitators. No, I'm not an expert here. I'm only leading this discussion. So don't judge me.
Let me ask a question. Do we really know the meaning of idolatry or idol? And when we say idolatry, it tends to have a rather demonic meaning. And we can say, okay, I know what that means. But what's the meaning of, idol? How do you define, idol?
An idol today.
Somebody can say, oh, he's my idol. I adore him or her.
Anything you places, you ascribe what belongs to God to, becomes your idol. Could be money, could be your wife, could be your children, could be anything. Anything that's supposed to honor God, but it's not going to Him. It's going to something else.
So now, if I honor my wife, for instance, on Sunday morning or Friday night, I'm supposed to come for night vigil. But we have our 25th marriage anniversary, and we're going to a hotel to celebrate. Does that make my wife my idol?
Yes. I'm saying that because you were supposed to come to church to worship God. God gave you that wife. God gave you the time, the life that you're going to celebrate with Him. You and your wife first supposed to celebrate with God before celebrating with yourself. So if you pay her that reverence, instead of coming to church to worship, then she became an idol to you.
I want to add this. In the first place, why do you have to fix in the day of the service?
Could you repeat that?
Fix the ceremony.
Oh, okay. It's excellent.
Why do you have to do that?
Well, I'm not done yet. Why do you have to do that? Bring it back. I asked that question for a reason, because we need to properly define idol. If we don't define it well, we're going to make mistake
Of course.
in interpretation. An idol, when we talk about idol, is what gives you the greatest joy, satisfaction, and the greatest or highest authority in your life, other than God. Greatest joy, greatest satisfaction, and the highest authority in your life, other than God. So if we now look at this definition and try to fit in what we're talking about, what gives you the source of greatest joy, greatest satisfaction, and the highest authority in your life, other than God, is an idol. I just brought three things in: greatest joy, greatest satisfaction, highest authority, other than God, is your idol. So, on the basis of this definition, can we still say what we're thinking as idol from what Mr. Tony is saying, that everything he defines to be an idol in our life, can we still say that those things, all of them, are idols?
Not all of them.
Yeah.
Like what the pastor just said, at the university, he came on a Friday. Okay. Like he talked to his wife to say, let us set a time, because Friday we had to go for all night fishing. And Sunday is 11 o'clock, that was 10 o'clock. And come back and make sure you'll be the all night fishing, that's the other.
Okay, in that kind of situation, the example that I just cited, that would not make my wife an idol. Why? It's only one Friday out of 52 Fridays in a year. Maybe because of circumstances, they happen to fall on that day. Maybe because of people that we're going to invite. But if you were a situation where this is something that I have to do with my family needs and I place it every Friday, and I don't see the need to go to church, that of course will become an idol. That's why I said last week, we have to be very careful the way we define, so that because there's a thin line. If I come to church and there's only one person I always want to come and see, I know if I come to church, I'll see that person. Like you said already, maybe there's a lady that sings, powerful. Oh my God, that lady, I can't miss going to church by night. That's when she sings. And I go there every Sunday, I want to listen to her sing. That's what gives me greatest joy, satisfaction. They have become the high authority when it comes to worshiping God, taking me to the presence of God. So I think that lady has become an idol.
You don't look at the act, you are looking at the person that performed the act.
So you can go on, and then bring that out to a different, for instance, let's talk about wife and husband. Some Sundays or there's some programs in the church, maybe my husband or my wife doesn't feel good about it. But not every program, not every church service. The question will be, if I do not obey my husband in some situations, or am I as a wife or as a husband, somebody that marries maybe a partner that is not so into God? Is it my place to defile him or her at all times? By doing that, would that make me to worship God more? It's a question that we need to answer.
Yeah, Pastor.
Say that again.
Defiling means, let's say I marry a wife that is not so much into God. And of course, we know in America, sometimes women can make money and become boss. Sometimes men can make money and become so. I mean, they can walk the other way around. And it's like, you know, this church thing, I'm not going to church with you. Or not even saying not going to church with you. You are not going. But not all the time. Sometimes you go, sometimes maybe, let's say Bible study. Let's forget about just Sunday. Maybe you can go to church on Sunday and say, okay, Bible study, no, it's too far, we're not going. And I don't go. But I go to Sunday service. I make sure that it doesn't stop me from going for Sunday service. My question is this. I listen to my wife. I don't go for Bible study on some Wednesdays. The question I ask, if I heed to this advice, or if I obey her, will that make her an idol in my life?
Yeah, Pastor. That is what I should say. There is a slippery slope. Slippery slope to sin. What I mean by that is anything we do, if we are not in the will of God, anything can happen. So idolatry is when especially you're not doing things according to the will of God. It doesn't matter what you do. For example, I talked to Patty, there are many witches who doesn't fly in the night. But there are witches with their actions. So the real witches who fly in the night, they're very good witches because they've committed their life sometimes to their family and they enjoy it. But there are witches who walk around here who don't like good things. So there is a slippery slope when we are not in the will of God.
But answer that my question.
No, I'm coming. For example, when we were reading in Colossians 3, we did not go into 18 up to maybe 22. If we read that, we can see that about anything we do, it's idolatry if it's not in the will of God. So let's go and read that 18 back and go down maybe to the end.
Okay, 18 says, wives, submit yourself unto your own husbands, as it is fit in the Lord. 19, husbands, love your wife, and be not bitter against them. 20, children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto God. Then fathers, provoke not, 21, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. Then servants, in 22 says, servants, obey in all things your master according to the flesh, not with eye service as men pleasers, but in a singleness of heart, fearing God. And whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord, and not unto men.
So that concludes everything there. But if we are not in the will of God, we are idolaters.
Now, when is submission?
We are watching what pleases us.
Now, based on what you just read, I put in the Bible. When does submission to a husband make a husband an idol? At what point is the loving of a wife make a wife is an idol?
Okay, let me answer that. I brought it up. There is a point. There is a spirit attached to everything we do. Sometimes, I know we Christians, we don't like signs, When we say 1, 2, 3, there is the meaning to that is scale. If I don't listen to my wife, treat my wife anyhow, it does hard up. After a while, that scale begins to tip. So no matter what I went to the church early, I bowed and I prayed, it doesn't leave the ceiling because I am not in the will of God. So that is how it do add up. Whether you are lying, there's a time you begin to tell one lie, then you keep doing it before that scale tip, you no longer are able to know the difference between the truth and that.
Okay. But we not still answer the question. In fact, because of what you just brought up now, it might even make it a little bit complicated. At what point is a wife's love for the husband? At what point does that love make the husband an idol to her? At what point is, the wife's submission to the husband, based on the word of God? At what point is the husband's love for the wife make the husband, make the wife an idol to him and make the husband an idol to her? At what point? When do we get to that point?
Yeah, well, we get to that point when we focus on him than God.
How?
You know, in a way. For example, remember that story Ananias and Sapphira in the Bible? When both of the husband, connive and say, let's go and say this is all what we have, to the man of God. So if you submit in that devilish way, that cunning way, that crafty way, that ungodly way, you submit to your husband so that you please him. At that point, you are idolating your husband than God. But if you stand by the word of God and say, you know what, this thing you are going by yourself, this bank robber you are going, I'm not driving you there.
But in their case, they didn't know brought the idea. Whether the wife
their
or
his husband and wife. So I don't know, but you can't say, let's go rob the bank. You drive. Make sure you drive me there. I say, I'm not going. So if I follow you, I'm even though I submit to you by following you, but I'm not worshiping God.
You see how
and
difficult?
I know in my heart that is not correct.
You see how difficult it is to draw the line? Yeah, I brought this up for one reason. To let us know that we need to be very careful how we define idolatry. Because the Bible says, husband, love your wife. Wife, submit to your husband. If I tell my wife, I say, okay, this Bible study today, I don't feel like it. I want to stay with you. I want to spend this evening with you. Stay. And she obeys me. That's submission. Now the question is he breaking the law of God?
No, but if that keep happening, I said the word is slippery slope. 1 + 1 is 2. Before you know it's 4. If that thing keep happening, the negative overwhelm the positive.
If I may say something there,
Go ahead.
the love of God supersedes every other love. You honor God, you glorify God at all times, not sometimes.
Now, if by doing so, by disobeying that my husband, my wife, for that time, it leads to a breakup of my marriage, will I still be in the will of God?
Well, it's not in the will of God.
No.
Go ahead.
I think because they gave two situations, one being positive, one being negative, it's very easy to say it's idolatry. Let's give two good situations. Let's say he's supposed to come to church and the wife is sick. What do? If you go take her to the hospital and not come to church, is that idolatry?
No, it's not idolatry.
So
it's reasonable.
yeah, so there should be,
Reasonable.
like he's saying, we should be able to draw the line between two good situations and not just pick one bad and the other.
Brother Nigga.
Praise God.
Amen.
I'd like to start on this note that human beings are difficult. It's even worse in a relationship. We have to come to a point that we understand that there are times you have to disagree to agree. And that's where this situation of submission and love comes in. You know, when it's always a situation where you have to depend and obey one party all the time, that's where the problem comes in. But like the pastor said, if it goes haywire and there is a breakup, then God is not happy with that, because He said, "I, the Lord, hates putting away." But like Brother Mike said, there's really a thing like if it continues and continues, it grows. And before you know it, it becomes another thing altogether. It becomes a habit. And habits are difficult to break. So what he's trying to say in essence is, if it's possible, it should be avoided. But we know in reality those times will come, and it will be difficult, to say no or otherwise. But like I'm saying, you have to understand that there's a point where you have to disagree to agree later. And that's very common in relationship.
And the only reality in the life of a Christian is the reality that is rooted in the Word of God.
That is true, my brother. Based on what we just said now, based on what Brother Mecca just said, we have to understand that there are two different situations here. When you go to marital relationship, and you are personal, before the marriage on your own, the meaning of idolatry will become a little bit a blur. For instance, if you, like he said, if repeatedly you lean over backward to please your spouse all the times against the will of God, repeatedly, that wife, that husband become an idol. For instance, every Wednesday, you are not going anywhere. My wife says, you know what, we go to church every Sunday anyway. This Wednesday is my day. I want to spend all the Wednesdays with you. So don't go anywhere. And I obey. She has become, yes, an idol. But if maybe once in a while something happens on Wednesday, we say, okay, well, we can't make it today, and we stay. That will not make my wife an idol, or make me an idol. So we have to make sure that we draw the line.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, you come. Hold your question. Also, we have to understand something. If you want to avoid making your wife an idol, or you being an idol to your wife, it all starts before you get married. But when you become unequally yoked with an unbeliever, the tendency is that one way or the other, one of you will become an idol in that relationship. As a man, if you marry a wife that has no fear of God, that doesn't want to be found among the people or do the work of God, and you keep on pandering to her because you want to please her, you want to love her. The Bible says, love your wife. I try to love, I try to love, I try to love. Eventually, what is going to happen is that she become a big idol in my life. And it's all because, from the very beginning, I did not do my homework right. That's why the Bible warns us, do not reward with unbeliever. One of the reasons marriages fail, one of the reasons people are becoming idols in marriage is because from day one you marry a wrong person. It could be because she's beautiful. Now I'm using a wife because I'm a man. So it could be the other way around. If you marry because she's very beautiful, that's the only thing that attracts you to her, and you marry. Or she's so educated. Oh my God. And you marry. Also from a very rich family, you marry. If this person does not know God, believe me, and you are the one that knows God, you know God, you marry her. Believe me, if care is not taken, that woman will become an idol in your life. I see your hand.
Then I was going to ask you a question. He has been raising his hand, but the question I wanted to ask you, can a believer build a one-time altar in his heart and tear it down?
I don't understand.
Can a believer build a one-time altar of idol?
Like on one occasion.
It's a good question. Yes, he can, because that's why I want
What kind of altar?
From what we're saying, that's what
it
we're saying.
doesn't matter whichever altar, There is sometimes where human beings, something can come up. But the question is the scale. I said it's a slippery slope. There is a time, especially in relationship of wife and husband and wife, you gotta put up, you stand your ground. That's why you know the word of God. You stand your ground. I stand my ground all the time, something doesn't look good, but I have to stand my ground. So, when I stand my ground, it doesn't please back. And it doesn't please me because God will react. So at this time, as long as God is the one held up, God would mend things up.
Amen.
The Spirit do work. We need to believe. We need to always stand our ground. Don't allow that slippery slope to get you down. You say, I'm a believer. No, you know.
Go ahead, David.
Yes. And this comes from last week, and I'm sorry because I'm trying to understand this as much as I can. When I look at worship, worship is a religious rite. It's a practice. And idolatry, like the way Pastor has given us the definition, is, that thing that you adore, you start adoring, you put in place of God and say, this is God. Now you put God away and you put this thing in a pedestal of where God should be. That becomes an idol. So when you put the two together, a religion, a practice, a rite, something that you do continuously in a form of religion, and you put an idol there, you put it together, then that becomes a worship of idol. Now, when you start saying that we have, you build an altar, a one-time altar, then it does not fit into the definition of a worship or an idol, because it's not a continuous practice. It's not a continuous rite. It's not a, even when Jesus was in the temple and he was asked, and he said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. In that sense, he's saying that even though you are asked, for instance, when you gave the other day, and I kept battling with this about the job and making a job become your idol, in the sense that, okay, here are bills and all these are building up, and you want to pay the Caesar, at the same time you want to worship God, but since Caesar is saying this and is enslaving you, in your heart, you can still be able to do this job, but in your heart you're praising God and thanking God, then this does not become an idol, but you're trying to give Caesar what is Caesar's, but your heart is in God. You're giving your heart to God. So I was fighting with that.
You have said that worship is a religious rite.
Yes, a continuous
It's not.
practice.
It's not a rite. It's not a religious rite. A true worshiper, a true worshiper worship God in truth and in spirit. It's not a religious rite. When you go like it as a religious rite,
What he meant, what I think he meant,
And
is
I'm going through the
an act.
definition.
Yeah.
It's an act.
It's an act. So you might not say it's a religious right, it's an act. I mean, worship is an act. Anything you do becomes an act of worship, either to God or to Satan. Offering you give, how you listen to music, like we say. If you are coming to look at the person that sings all the time, that person becomes an idol. It's an act, that is the person you are giving to. So because of our time, we have to understand something. We need to put this thing in context.
Yes.
If I do two jobs, I had that question last week. I have to meet my bills. Things are very rough, and I do two jobs. I can't come for Bible study, but I can try to come for Sunday service. Would that make the job an idol?
No, sir.
The
No.
question is no.
No, it doesn't.
That's why I say we place it in context. Because if we just generally say, because I'm doing two jobs, I can't come for Bible study, that job has become an idol. That's not true.
But Pastor,
But if repeatedly, I now, a time comes when I feel, oh, I've done two, I can make it three. I don't go for Sunday service anymore. That Sunday, I take extra. The job has become an idol.
Yes.
So we need to understand this thing and place it in context. Because of our time, we need to wrap it up, and we need to know in summary, because we're going to end this today. In summary, you have to know, depending on those that are yet to get married, please listen, the young ones, be very careful. The wife, the husband that you marry can become an idol in your life if that person does not know God. I've been so blessed, and I'm saying this, and that is the truth. I've been so blessed. In the day I met my wife, over 24 years ago, from Nigeria to this country. When we had these children, Inyene, Zika, and all of them were very young. We never, when I tell my wife, we're going for Bible study, we're dragging the kids. The three of them, they were babies, to Bible study. We never miss night vigil. I tell my wife, hey, dress the kids, so we're going for night vigil. We are dragging the children. The three of them babies, 2 years, 3 years. The baby, even the one that is born within 3 weeks, we are going to church. And my wife never one day said, no, the baby is too young. No, church. That's it. It's nothing else other than God. No, that's what's keeping us together as husband and wife today. And that's why it's keeping us alive. But you see some families where, oh, I have a baby. Oh, I can't come for Netflix. Says who? You have a baby, you can't go for Netflix. You have a baby, you can't go for, oh, because of the kids, I have to start too. What you have just done, you are blessing the kids above God. Kids have become idol. And the God that gives you kids, you now make those kids idol. Because you don't want to worship God because of kids. So you see, that's why it's important to select who you marry for those that are still planning to get married. Be very careful so that you do not create idol for yourself in the name of marriage. God bless you.
President, I want to read this passage for all of us who are Christians and believers. Matthew 15, verse 8. I'm speaking to all of us. These people show honor to me with words, but their hearts are far from me. Their worship of me is worthless. The things they teach are nothing but human rules. Amen. 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 Time to worship in truth and in spirit.